Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Andy. Today's video is going to be a review and tutorial for the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe. I know you guys have probably seen this everywhere. It is super hyped up. It's been kind of crazy. I got this the day that it came out because I am way too obsessed with makeup, and I'm also obsessed with Jaclyn Hill, so this was of course my dream. I want to just get right into reviewing it because I'm way too excited to talk about it. The packaging is absolutely beautiful. It is white and it just has Jaclyn Hill's signature here on the front, and on the back, sorry, mine is kind of dirty, I've been using it a bit, but it says, I don't know if you can see it because of my lights, but it says Morphe times Jaclyn Hill, and it has her initials just all over the back. And it is just absolutely beautiful packaging. I really do like it. One thing I don't like about it is it is kind of a cardboard type package rather than like a slip, like plasticky package, which does make it a little bit more difficult to clean. As you might be able to see, there's fingerprints on here, and it's a little bit harder to get off. You kind of have to like wet it and scrub a little bit to get it white, and it gets dirty a little bit easier. You can also see that with some of the shades. They're kind of bleeding out of their pots because I've been messing with them and stuff, so it is a little bit harder to clean, so that is a drawback from the packaging, but it is very pretty. This palette is $38 and it comes with I just hit myself in the face with the palette, just ignore that. It comes with 35 eyeshadows of obviously varying shades. There are a lot of different types of colors in here. There are a bunch of different mattes, a bunch of different shimmers, and some like sheen ones. I don't even know how to describe them, but there are a lot of beautiful colors in here, and it is $38, which is a lot more expensive than your average Morphe palette, but I did watch her video explaining it, and they did have to go through a lot of extra steps to create this palette, and so apparently that is why it's a little bit more expensive. But in this video I am just going to show a tutorial for this makeup look right here, if you can see it underneath my bangs. It's just using those beautiful turquoise shades because you know I can't resist beautiful colors. And so I'm just going to do a tutorial, and I'm going to talk throughout it about what I think of the palette and everything, and then at the end I'm going to do a kind of wrap up. This is my final thoughts, blunt, honest opinion. So that is what we are going to do today. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and let's just get into it. Alright, so we are going to start this video with the usual disclaimer, which is please ignore my hair. I know it looks horrible, you know it looks horrible, so let's just ignore it. So we are going to start out with the eyes. I have already done my eyebrow. I have placed some tape right here on my eyes to create a line with the eyeshadow. I think I'm going to go with kind of a blue type look simply because these shades right here are like calling my name. I'm absolutely in love with them. They look so pretty and so pigmented. They're insane. So I'm super excited, and so we're going to start out with the eyes. So I'm first going to prep my lids with my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and I'm just going to place that on my lids and blend it out with my finger. This is generally where I would set my eyelids. One drawback that I saw in this palette from the second that I got it is it doesn't have any shades to set your eyelids with. I thought that these two were possibilities when I saw it online, but it turns out that they are shimmery. So I am actually just going to use my Carly Bible BH Cosmetics palette, this shade right here, to set my lids. That is a thing for me that I dislike about this palette, simply because I always use a cream shaded color to set the primer or concealer on my eyelids. So that is a drawback for me. It is a little bit frustrating that it doesn't have that, but it's not a huge deal because you can just use any powder that you happen to have on hand. Another drawback that I did want to mention right off the bat is this palette does not come with a mirror. It just comes with a cardboard lid without a mirror on it, which is a little bit frustrating, but at the same time I know that if they had included a mirror it would have had to be more expensive, and I'm not about that, so it's kind of a give and take. It's not super irritating, but it's a little irritating, so I'll just be using a different mirror, but I did want to mention that it doesn't have a mirror on the lid. First shade that I am going to go into in this palette is this third shade right here. I will list the names of the shades that I'm using on the bottom because I don't have the little card with me on hand. But I am just taking that on a really fluffy crease brush and I'm just going to buff that into my crease. And I'm not being precise with this at all. I am just buffing it into the general area of my crease. These shadows do give you a little bit of kickback. They aren't, like when you push your brush into the shadow, it does poof up a little bit, especially on the matte shades, which that just means that the shades are a little bit more pigmented. So I don't mind that. They're softer, they're easier to blend because of that. So it does give you a little bit of kickback, but it's not a super big deal. On that exact same brush, I am going to go into this shade right next to the shade I just used that is a little bit darker because I do want to deepen up my crease a little bit. And I am just putting that pretty much in the exact same area as the other shade. On a little bit of a smaller, more dense brush, I am now going to go into this shade right here, and I am just going to put that more directly into my crease to deepen it up a little bit and add just a little bit more warmth. These shadows are very, very easy to blend. They blend on top of each other really, really well. They're so easy to work with, which is so nice because I hate when shadows just won't blend together nicely because then you really can't create a smoky eye with them. So with that exact same brush, I am going to go into this shade right here because it is a little bit deeper. This is the last shade that I'm going to go into before I start with the blue colors. So I just want to get this one over with. Just applying this on my outer crease just to deepen it up a bit. This is a really nice chocolatey brown. I'm really loving this color because it works really beautifully with all of the other shades that I just applied. Okay, so now on a smaller brush, I am going to go into this beautiful deep blue right here, and I'm going to apply that on the outer portion of my lid and sort of into my crease. It's not a matte shade, it is a shimmer, but I do think that it will look really pretty mixed in with all of the matte shades on the outer portion of my lid. So I am just putting that just kind of on the outer third of my lid and into my crease. This is almost more indigo than it is blue. I expected it to be more of a royal blue, but it does have some purple tones in it for sure. I am having to apply quite a bit of this to build it up to the pigmentation that I want. I do want to note that this isn't the most pigmented shade of the ones that I've tried. It's a little bit less pigmented. That's okay because it is a very bold shade, so you don't want it to go too crazy, but I did just want to note that it's not as pigmented as the other ones that I've tried so far. I'm just taking my fluffy crease brush and I'm just going to blend all of the shades that I have applied so far together to make sure that everything is seamless, because that blue shade did add a little bit of a line. So I'm just going to blend everything together. So now for the most exciting part of this entire video, I am going to go into this shade, which I don't know about you guys, but when I saw this shade in the palette, I like internally screamed. It is so pretty looking and I've swatched it and it's so pigmented, but I haven't put it on my eyes yet. So I am going to go straight up into that shade because I'm way too excited. Just using a flat brush, by the way, and I'm just going to apply this to the inner 2/3 of my lid. Oh, it's so pretty, you guys. It's so pretty. Like, I knew it would be pretty, but holy cow. I am not usually a bright colors on my eyes type of girl, but when you put this pretty of a color in an eyeshadow palette, I am going to use it to death. I was a little bit worried that this shade would not show up as pigmented on the lid as it does in the palette. but it is showing up very well. It shows up absolutely beautifully. I'm not having any problems with it. And I'm honestly not even noticing very much fallout. There is a little bit on my nose, but as long as you do your eyes before you do your face, that's really not too big of a deal. So I am just going to take that smaller blending brush from before and just kind of move horizontally between the dark blue and the light blue to kind of mix them together so that there's no line there. And then I'm going to take that fluffy crease brush once again, and I am just going to buff out the crease. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply some liquid liner. You guys know I'm going to use my Wet n Wild Mega Liner in black, and I am just going to apply a wing because I think that this look will look very pretty with a wing. If you are struggling with liquid eyeliner, this is actually a really good tip to use this tape because it is very helpful, because you can see that I obviously drew over the line with the tape, but once I take the tape off, it will have a perfectly straight edge. So if you are having troubles applying liquid liner, this is a really good tip to use, is to just put some tape on the side of your eye. So I went ahead and took the tape off, and as you can see, it created a very nice line with my eyeliner and my eyeshadow. So I'm going to just go ahead and do my foundation and my concealer, and I will be right back to finish up the eyes. My foundation, my concealer, and my loose powder have all been applied, and so now we are just going to move on to the lower lash line. I want to do something kind of fun with the lower lash line that I would not normally do, and so I'm actually going to go into this turquoise matte shade right here, and I'm just going to apply that to my lower lash line because colorful lower lash lines have always been a super cute thing to me, but I'm never brave enough to do it. But I figure with this palette I should try it out. I am kind of buffing this out to make it a little bit less intense, but when you have a turquoise lower lash line, there's really not much you can do to calm it down. So it's just gonna be kind of crazy, but that's okay. I think that is really all I'm going to do with my lower lash line with these shadows besides eyeliner. I am going to go ahead and apply some L'Oreal Matte eyeliner to my waterline. Alright, so that is applied to my lower lash line. I didn't apply it all the way into my inner corner just because I wasn't feeling that. I just applied it to the first, almost all the way in, but not quite all the way in, if you get my drift. So now I am just going to go ahead and take my finger and apply this very first shade to my inner corner because I do love a good inner corner highlight. So I'm just going to use my finger for that. And then with that exact same shade, I am going to go ahead and highlight underneath my brow bone for a little bit of a pop. Alright, so that is pretty much it for the eyes, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of my face. I'm also going to be applying my L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise Mascara, and then I will give you my final thoughts right after that. So the rest of my makeup is now applied. I did go ahead and take a very white highlighter from my Carly Bible palette and add that into my inner corners, so in case you were wondering why that looked brighter, that's why. But anyways, my final thoughts on this palette. I didn't want to fall into the trend when I first bought it because I know that I tend to do that. I see something new and it looks exciting and it's by a YouTuber I like, and I fall into it and I say that I like it simply because I thought I would. And so I wanted to give this palette a real shot, and so I've tested it out for the past couple of weeks, and you saw me test it out today, and I really do love it. I just can't pretend that I don't. It's so beautiful. The shades are absolutely gorgeous. I don't have anything like these shades in my collection. Of course, I have these brownie neutral shades, but I don't have anything like these red shades or these blue and purple shades, and even these green shades down here. They're not in every single palette, and that is something that I love to see in a new eyeshadow palette because there are so many palettes these days, and a lot of them have very similar colors. They might be a little bit different, but they're very similar, and that you can't normally get in any palette that you buy at the drugstore or high-end or anywhere. And so that is really nice. I did notice as I was doing more of my face makeup that there was more fallout than I originally saw, especially of this turquoise shade on my lid, which is to be expected. It's practically a pressed glitter, and so I expected a lot of fallout, and I did get quite a bit. I don't mind it too much, but that is a drawback that I did want to mention. I also don't like that it doesn't have a cream shade to set your lids with, and I'm really not a fan of the fact that it doesn't have a mirror. I do also think that the medium brown shades are a little bit excessive. I don't know if this will be a very popular opinion, but I gotta be honest, there's like 6 crease shades there, and I just don't think it's necessary to have a crease shade with every single undertone in a palette, because you can pretty much work with any crease shade. Really all you need is a warm toned one and a cool toned one, and this one has like 6 of them. And I do appreciate quite a few of them, but I do think that from a critical standpoint, they are a little bit excessive in this palette. But other than that, there's really no shades that look very similar. They're all very different. They're all very beautiful. It is a little bit more pricey, but I think that it's worth the money if you are a makeup lover. If you're not super into makeup and you don't think you're going to use those crazy shades, you can get the normal shades everywhere else. These gold tones and these brown tones, you can really get in any palette for any price point. Morphe has a lot of palettes that are less expensive with these same browns and golds and things like that. They obviously aren't the exact same shades, but they're very similar. So if you are not into this palette for these shades or these reddish shades, I wouldn't suggest it. And that's just my honest opinion, because if you're not going to use it, it is kind of expensive. But if you love makeup and you are into those crazy shades and you want to have a little bit of fun, this palette is gorgeous. The pigmentation is beautiful, the blendability is wonderful, and I do think if you are going to use all of the shades in it, it's definitely worth it. So that is my honest opinion. I don't really have anything else to say. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!